Hello everyone, welcome back to continue our conversation about sugar. My name is Laura Burke and I have my own business called ELB Consulting, and on Monday we started talking a little bit about sugar, and I'd like to continue that talk. I received some questions, so thank you so much to anybody who reached out to me. Keep the questions coming, whether you want to direct message me, text me, email, but keep the questions coming about sugar. So I want to review some of the questions that I received, because I'm sure that if one person had it, some other people had sugar. So the first and foremost, I think the number one confusion about sugar is how much sugar can we have? And there's this idea out there that we're supposed to have zero amount of sugar or no sugar at all. And our body does need sugar. Our body needs that immediate energy source called glucose to get into our bodies to burn, especially if you exercise. If you exercise, you're going to need a little bit more sugar than maybe the person who doesn't exercise. So this idea or this thought to eliminate all sugar may not be beneficial for you. If you have any type of type 1, type 2 diabetes, then yes, you need to watch your sugar. But the idea or the perfectionist of eliminating all sugar is pretty tough to do, because sugar is found in everything. And I don't care if it's natural sugar, artificial sugars, it is found in all foods out there. So the American Heart Association recommended that women have 6 teaspoons of added sugar a day and men have 9 teaspoons of added sugar a day. So that's roughly 25 grams of added sugar for women, 36 grams added grams for men. So I want to walk you through on how do you figure that out, because a lot of us have some confusion regarding this of what is an added sugar and what is not. All sugar is sugar. All sugar affects the body except sugar substitutes, which we are going to dive in and get really deep into sugar substitutes in one moment. But so you've got 3 basic types of sugar. You've got sucrose, fructose, and lactose. Fructose is your natural sugar found in fruit. Sucrose is your table sugar, and lactose is the sugar found in milk. All sugar affects the body. Some affects it more than others, but all sugar affects the body. We love to taste sugar on our tongue. Our brain lights up like a Christmas tree when we have sugar. It makes us feel good, and our body digests it so quickly. So to simplify it, the answers are in your food labels. And I grabbed a few things from my pantry. Pretty hard to find. I don't have a lot of food in around lately, because we're trying to figure out grocery shopping once every blue moon. But here are a few things. And I'm going to dive into ketchup. Ketchup really aggravates me. In my mind, ketchup is extremely hard to find without any high fructose corn syrup. Most of your ketchup has high fructose corn syrup, except 1 or 2 brands. This happens to be one of the brands that does not have high fructose corn syrup in it. That is one of the worst sugar substitutes in my mind that you can eat. So if you can find foods, especially your condiments, that do not have high fructose corn syrup in it, that's good. This is one of them. But my point on this one is, if you look and read the label, 1 tablespoon of ketchup has 4 grams of sugar, and then it has 3 added sugar. So back to what I said, the American Heart Association recommended 9 teaspoons for men, 6 teaspoons of added sugar for women, or 25 grams of added sugar for women, and then 36 for men. So the easiest way to do this is you look at your ketchup bottle, 1 tablespoon, most of us eat more than 1 tablespoon, but 1 tablespoon is 3 added grams of sugar. So you would take the added grams of sugar and add that up through the day. This is just an example. Here's another one. Almond milk, or even plain milk, doesn't matter. Almond milk. This happens to be silk almond milk, but if you look at the label, this includes 7 added grams of sugar. 7. So if I have 1 tablespoon of ketchup, and then I have 1 cup of almond milk, you've got 7 plus your 3 is 10. So you're already at 10 added grams of sugar, and we're only allowed 25 for women, 36 for men. So foods that you don't normally think are sugar have sugar in them. So the other things I've got here is club crackers. Okay, not something you would think that has a lot of sugar in it. And you look at the label for 4 crackers, you've got 1 added gram of sugar for 4 crackers. And some of you are like, well, that's not much. And it's not much. But if you have, 6 or 10 or 12 crackers, it adds up. But I want to clear the confusion. There is really no recommendation other than to limit sugars for natural sugars, for that sucrose, that glucose, that fructose. I'm going to get into that in just a second. And then the sugar substitutes play a whole different ballgame in it. But for added sugars, 25 grams of added sugar for women, 36 added sugar for men. And it is on the new food labels as of 2020. The new food labels have added sugar on almost all your food labels. So now here comes the tricky part. We have cane sugar. I'm almost out. But cane sugar, raw sugar. If you look at the food label, this cane sugar, for 2 teaspoons of cane sugar, which we would normally think is healthy, and it is healthy, but it still is sugar. It has 8 added grams of sugar for 2 teaspoons. So just because it's a cane sugar or a raw sugar doesn't mean you get to eat it unlimited. It still affects the body, and you still need to include it into the added sugar. Because some of the questions I received since Monday was, well, does cane sugar count? Does raw sugar count? Does stevia, and I'm going to get to stevia in a minute, does maple syrup or honey count? Yes, it still counts in your added sugar, even though it's a healthier version of plain sugar. So then, I've got honey. Here's honey. Costco, as you can see, I shop at Costco. But here's honey. Honey has 17 grams of sugar. It's a lot of sugar. But it's a natural sugar. It's a healthy sugar, but it still has added sugar to it. And then I got maple syrup. And maple syrup, 26 added sugar. So that basically means for us women, we're allowed 25 added grams, correct? So that means 2 tablespoons of maple syrup is pretty much all the added sugar we're allowed. 2 tablespoons of maple syrup, and that's it. So just because maple syrup is healthy, it's a healthier sugar, it still counts in that 6 teaspoons of the added sugar, 25 grams, okay? So then, we're going into peanut butter. Peanut butter is another one that has a lot of high fructose corn syrup or corn syrup in it. This one happens, once again, be from Costco. You guys are really fast figuring out where I love to shop. And this has 0 added sugar to it. There's total sugar in it, which is 1 gram. That's a natural sugar, but 0 added. So if you're counting up your added sugar based on American Heart Association, you don't need to count this 1 gram of sugar in your total for the day. See where I'm going with this? I'm going to show you another example that's going to be like, really? Here we go. Okay. I absolutely love these dates. My favorite sugary snack, because I crave sugar. I love sugar. If you sweat a lot or exercise a lot, you're going to need sugar, because sugar is good. It's not all bad. But here are dates. I don't know if you can see what they're like everywhere. Date rolls. They're here, I'll show you. Well, I don't want to open it yet. They're my favorite. Okay. On this label for 1 piece, I'm going to show you in a second what 1 piece looks like. There is 12 total grams of sugar. 12. A lot of people will put this back on the shelf, but 0 added sugar. No added. It's a natural sugar. It's fructose, natural sugar. So the point is you got to read on the food labels the added sugar, and that is the sugar that you need to start limiting. I mean, you need to limit sugar altogether. But if you have this as a natural sugar, your body digests it so quickly. It still affects blood sugars. It still affects your blood sugars. It still increases your blood sugars, and then it drops you. Increases and drops you. But it doesn't have to count into that added sugar, okay? So natural sugar, you digest very quickly. It also doesn't excite the brain up as much as like a pure sugar or a added sugar. So you don't get those strong cravings. But for this one, I love these because if I have a sugar craving, I eat one of these dates that are wrapped up in almonds, and it's got the fiber in there to bring down your blood sugars. Now, I'm going for the straight chocolate. Once again, Kirkland's straight chocolate. We're going to check out a chocolate label and what does it look like. So, 8 grams of total sugar is in 1 tablespoon of chocolate chips. And so it is 8 grams of added sugar. So I hope you're understanding that this is sucrose, table sugar, 8 added grams of sugar. This is fructose, natural sugar, no added grams, even though the total is 12 and this is 8. So you can count the 8 and the added, 0 over here for the dates. So I hope you understand that. Okay, so that is how to count up your added sugar for the day. Now the next question that I want to dive in that I received a lot of questions on, and I thank you all for reaching out to me, and if you like this video, give it a thumbs up or a love or something. Let me know you're out there. The second thing I'd like to talk about is sugar substitutes. And I received a lot of questions on the sugar substitutes, and it is confusing because there is a lot of what is a sugar substitute. Now the problem that I have with sugar substitutes, and I've got some notes here, is that they can be 200 to like 500 times sweeter than plain sugar. So your aspartame is 180 times sweeter than sugar. Your sucralose, 600 times sweeter than sugar. And I have stevia. I looked up stevia for us. Stevia is, well, Splenda is 600 times sweeter than sugar. Sorbitol, mannitol. I lost my stevia here. I had stevia here. Stevia is, if I remember right, I might be wrong because I can't seem to find it on my slide anymore, but stevia is, I don't even know, I can't remember, 100 to 200 times sweeter. But the point is that sugar substitutes are sweeter than sugar. What that means is when you buy a food that has, so for example, I've got my nitro greens here. It's green powder, and I will probably talk about the power of green powder, but not in this video, but this has stevia in it. It's a sugar substitute. So when you go to the label, it says 2 grams of sugar, but 0 added sugar. So anytime you see a OSC in your ingredient, like sucralose, or a OL, like erythritol, or stevia, all those are a sugar substitute that it's heated. It's in the processing of the way they extracted the sugar from the plant or from the chemical. So it doesn't affect the blood sugar. So if you're diabetic or you're someone who needs to watch your sugar, people like the sugar substitutes because it does not affect your blood sugars, and nor is it counted in the added sugar. The problem that I have with sugar substitutes is that they are so much sweeter than sugar. And the first place that you digest sugar is on the tongue. And then that lights up the brain, and it makes you crave more sugar. It makes you get excited. It makes you want more. So and research has shown over and over and over that if you drink Diet Coke that has aspartame in it versus Coke that has sugar in it, more people that drink Diet Coke gain weight, are more obese because of that sugar substitute in the Diet Coke versus the plain sugar in regular Coke. You can Google it or research it or call me if you have questions on it. So the sugar substitutes actually make you crave more sugar even though it has less added sugar in the label. And it does not count when you have to add up your total added sugars for the day. So there are some pros and cons to sugar substitutes. But some of the sugar substitutes, there are some sugar substitutes that are better than other ones. Like the first one I mentioned earlier, absolutely no to a high fructose corn syrup. That is a chemical that when you digest, and it's in a lot of ketchup and salad dressings, I would encourage you to look at your pantry. Don't throw anything out now because obviously the time that we're in, but if it has a high fructose corn syrup in it, that is a chemical that your body doesn't exactly know how to digest. It just kind of sits there, and as it sits there, it weakens the immune. And we're working on trying to build up this immune during this time to make us stay healthy. So you really want to watch out for high fructose corn syrup or even like a corn syrup solid. Those are chemicals that take a long time to break down in the body. Brown rice syrup. This one tends to affect the blood sugars a lot. It's a very high starch. So anything that has brown rice syrup it's not a chemical, but it affects you super high. So it's like a big high. We tend to get really high on the sugar and then it kind of drops us. So there isn't a lot in between to help lower that blood sugar down when it comes to brown rice sugar. Artificial sweeteners, like I said, It's great because you don't have to count them in the added sugar, but they are chemicals and you gotta be careful with the tongue. One of the things that you could do if you really absolutely love your Equal or your stevia is to just make sure you hydrate that tongue. Make sure you drink water, get it off the tongue as fast as you can, because then that brain will digest. Because the problem is when you have a sugar substitute, the brain thinks it's getting food. So let's go back to that orange that has natural fructose sugar in it. The brain wants sugar, so it's thinking it's going to get something like a fruit, because a fruit is a natural sugar and they're excellent for you and they don't count in that added sugar. So when your brain is craving, and it doesn't usually crave a orange, it craves sugar. But if you eat that orange, that brain is craving something sweet, and you're giving it nutritional value, nutritional food. So your brain is content. But if we eat food that has a sugar substitutes that's 100 to 800 times sweeter than that orange, when you eat on that tongue, it's empty calories. It doesn't have the nutrients. It doesn't have antioxidants. It doesn't have vitamins. It doesn't have minerals. It's an empty calorie. So your brain is almost tricked thinking it got something delicious and healthy for you, and it actually got something else. So when you go back to eat the orange isn't sweet anymore. For those that have ever decreased sugar out of their diet, when you go back to eat an orange or a strawberry, you're like, wow, that's really sweet. But for those of us who are currently eating sugar, an orange is not considered sweet to us, because it's all on how you trained your taste buds. So that is my problem with sugar substitutes. It does not count in the added sugar, which is great. It does not affect your blood sugars, but it just makes you crave stronger sugar cravings. And then when your brain craves sugar, your brain is super smart and it remembers how you ate, what you ate, when you ate it, and it remembers sugar. So when your brain craves sugar, it's going to go back to what you're imagining. It's going to go back to what you're thinking. It may be a commercial on the TV. It might have been something in the store. It might have been an ad going across your Facebook page. It'll automatically light up, and then all of a sudden you're craving it when you weren't craving it before you saw it, if that makes any sense. So you have to retrain your brain that when you want sugar, you grab an orange. After 3 to 4 days, you'll eventually start craving an orange. May take a little longer too. But so sugar substitutes are great because they don't increase blood sugars. However, and you don't have to add them in the added sugar, but they are just so sweet. Brown sugar is pretty good. The maple syrup we already talked about, that's pretty good. Coconut sugar is another great one, but they do have added sugar and they do affect blood sugars. Honey is something that's so easy to digest that the body knows, recognizes, and can digest that easily. Stevia is one of the most popular. Oh, here it is. Stevia is 200 times sweeter than sugar. I finally found my notes. Stevia is extremely popular right now, and I get the question of what do you think of stevia? And stevia, as of right now is good. It's considered safe by the USDA. It is 200 times sweeter than sugar, so be careful on that with the whole taste buds. Drink that water. It's a little controversial because a lot of people say that it's natural because it is drawn for a plant, and sometimes when you buy stevia, there's this gorgeous green plant on it. However, the processing has changed. It all depends on how high they heat it. Some are better than others, so just make sure you're reading that label for stevia. My biggest concern on stevia right now is it's so new and there's not a lot of research out there. So we really don't know if it's safe. I know the USDA says it's safe, but we really don't know. And we mass produced it so quickly because it kind of just hit the shelves. And so I'm concerned with some of the way the processing has changed with the stevia. If you want to go to Home Depot and grab a stevia plant, you can grab your own and juice it or extract it. You can have it, you can have your own stevia. You can also buy little bottles of stevia too that people add drops in too. So just be careful on stevia. Try to use it in moderation. Try not to overdose on the stevia, but just know that and there is, the other thing with stevia and also other sugar substitutes is a lot of them, since they are, depending on how they are processed, can cause gastrointestinal issues like diarrhea, bloating, gas. So sometimes when you think you're eating a healthy food and you're wondering why you're bloated or you're having some issues with the stomach, usually it's due to a sugar substitute. The erythritol, sorbitol, all of them, and sometimes stevia too. So just make sure that you don't have any of these sugar substitutes in a large amount so you can feel better. Sugar alcohols, we kind of already talked about the way it's processing. Monk fruit. I got a question on monk fruit, kind of the newest thing out there. Monk fruit is great. It's nice and clean and natural. It doesn't have a whole lot of added sugar. There's not even a lot of calories in monk fruit. The problem with monk fruit is just like any other good healthy sugar out there, like cane or raw or coconut sugar, it still affects the blood sugars. So you can't just eat monk fruit and think you can eat all that you want. You can have it in moderation, or make sure that you're having it with foods to help stabilize blood sugars. And I'll review those foods really quickly. The foods that help stabilize your blood sugar. So whenever you have whatever sugar you're consuming, whenever you have sugar, make sure that you combine that sugar with a protein, a fat, or a fiber. Those three nutrients will stabilize blood sugar. So what do I mean by that? If you are a person who absolutely loves chocolate and you want chocolate, have it with some peanut butter, have it with some cashews, have it with some almonds. A little bit, that's all you need, because once again, your brain craves that sugar. It doesn't tell you how much you crave. It just craves a little bit. We're the ones that keep eating and may not realize how much we're consuming and eating. So if we have a little bit of sugar and then we eat a protein and water, we have water with it, we'll be able to stabilize those blood sugars so we don't keep craving more and more. If you just have chocolate and you're sitting there, you're going to continue to eat the chocolate until your brain gets satisfied. But usually it's your stomach that tells you you're done before your brain does. But to decrease the portion sizes of sugar, add that fat, the fiber, or the protein, which will stabilize blood sugars. And one of the reasons why we want our blood sugars stable is because if our blood sugars are stable, we're happier. The people around us are happier. We're more stable. We don't get really anxious and then depressed. So we stabilize our moods. We can lose weight a lot easier by decreasing the acidity level in the body. We tend to have more energy because our energy isn't sabotaged with this up and down motion of sugars. Yeah, I don't know. Anybody have any questions? I thank you for everybody who's listening right now. It's super exciting. So if you have any questions, just feel free to leave comments or reach out to me. Next week, we're going to continue on our journey of what we can do to improve our health over quarantine. For those that are joining us new, the first week we talked about water, and you can find all the videos on my Facebook page or YouTube channel, or my email. You can sign up for my email through my website. They're over there as well. So the first week we talked about water and how crucial our body needs water, especially during this stressful time. And then the second thing we talked about was supplements. I don't usually recommend supplements right off the bat. However, right now, just to boost up that immune system, give you some extra health, add some supplements that your doctor, check with your doctor, pharmacist, to make sure it's okay with you and your certain medications. But the vitamins that I recommend was like just a standard multivitamin, some B vitamins, vitamin C. You don't have to get too crazy. Vitamin D if you know you're deficient. All that's going to boost up your immune system. And then the third week, and this is our third week, and we talked about sugar and how sugar can really affect our immune system. So tune in next week. We'll continue on our journey of how to make us healthy, how to boost our immune system with foods that are simple and at home. And I hope everybody has a great weekend or a great day. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out. Talk to you guys later. Thank you. Bye.